And I don't plan to keep you too long. I know your time is valuable. I can only imagine what your schedule looks like. So I'll try to keep it brief. And again, I want to highlight you, want to get you that exposure as well, because did my background research and you have a pretty cool history, pretty cool story. Growing up in Southern California, playing volleyball pretty much your whole life, getting into it from your parents and even playing collegiately Penn State, playing professionally in Germany. So I was pretty intrigued with your story and inspired as well. So I kind of wanted to get a little bit of background on you and your playing career, your sports career, and then jump into some coaching questions.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
You want me to start with my story a little bit?
Yeah, well, let me kind of reintroduce myself again now that we're recording, and then we'll let you hop into it, and then we can get into some of the questions. But again, I appreciate you for jumping on. I'm Jared with Mass Sports Management. It's a sports management company that I've built to support athletes. Primarily, I started with player development in baseball. I'm a former collegiate baseball player myself. I actually grew up in Meridian, Mississippi, a small town, very small population of about 40, 50,000 people. And sports was a big driving factor in that community. And I always had a passion for sports. My family was big into sports. My grandfather was a pretty well-known coach in our area. There's a city park named after him that I got a chance to play high school baseball on. So sports are deeply embedded into my genes and DNA, and I love sports. I love everything that comes with it. And after my playing career ended in 2018, went to further my education in sports management, where I learned more of the back end side of things and the management side of things. And I always had aspirations of getting to that athletic director or professional coach status. But whenever I was working on my degree back in Mississippi around 2020, that's when COVID happened and it relocated me to Southern California, which it was a blessing in disguise. I took that time to kind of transition careers. Of course, when COVID happened, school shut down, teams stopped playing, tournaments stopped going on. So kind of repositioned to an operations management job at Amazon, and that's what relocated me out here. And once I got out here, I saw how big the sports community was and how big the sports world was, and I knew that I needed to dive into the industry here, into the community here. So that's when I began creating my brand. I started in 2020, 2021 when they started getting more into NIL and passing those laws. That's when I started trying to get into the marketing and management. And from there, we've built a program and a platform that supports athletes on the training side, development side with teams. We handle athletes' marketing. We support managing their social media. We just support the digital presence because I realize how important and readily available, social media is, from exposure to NIL deals to recruiting. So, I built a platform, Mad Collectives, to try to educate parents, educate athletes on, not only the recruiting process or what it takes, but also how your social media and your digital footprint or your presence on social media can either win you a scholarship or lose you a scholarship. So I just wanted to take the time to interview coaches, interview people that are in the industry to, give their insights, give their background, give their exposure. So, I appreciate, you, Coach Taylor, coach for Stanford men's volleyball team, coming to answer a few questions, give your background, give your insight, and really educate, our audience. So I know that
Yeah,
was a
thanks for having
lot
me.
real quick, but no, I appreciate you. I thank you. So yeah, jumping into it. Give me your background, like growing up as a kid in Southern California, getting into sports. Really give me a background on, why sports was a big driving factor for you, or even, what led you to want to play professionally. I saw where one of your goals was to play professionally and you reached that goal. So what kind of sparked that goal or that interest in sports?
Yeah, I'm from Southern California, so I grew up in Mission Viejo, California. I think sports was always a big part of my life. Both my mom and dad were sports people. I think my dad was a volleyball player as I grew up. So I'm now a coach and a dad as well, but my dad wasn't a coach like I am. He was more of a player. So we went and played beach volleyball every weekend as he was a weekend warrior. And so I just enjoyed spending that time with our family, as well as playing. I played a lot of sports growing up. I played basketball, I played baseball, I played soccer. Volleyball was just kind of a weekend thing for us for a little while, and then I grew to really love the community of it. I played at Lake Michigan on the weekends, and when I say I played, I mean I'm peppering at that point and trying to touch the ball as much as I can, but it was trying to aspire to play with the big guys and things like that. Really, my two sports came down to basketball and volleyball. And I played travel basketball through middle school and played AAU, and I played into high school my freshman year, and the time came to choose. And I think the choice was pretty clear for me. I really enjoyed basketball, but I didn't have a huge future in it. Um, Playing time goes down, you're contributing less to the team as much as you can, but volleyball, I was contributing more to the team and saw the future in it. And so, yeah, as you go through it, I chose volleyball, chose indoor volleyball, and really, really happy with that decision, obviously, because I'm still in the game. But yeah, I played for Santa Margarita High School and Balboa Bay Volleyball Club. And then I went to Penn State, made the choice to go to Penn State, and absolutely loved that decision. It was about one of the best decisions I've ever made. And yeah, then after I'm done playing at Penn State, I wanted to continue to play. Something I always wanted to do was continue to play, whether that be indoor or beach. And I went overseas and played 1 year in Germany. And now that I'm 5 years out of it, I am so incredibly happy that I did that. It was really challenging at the time. International volleyball is hard. You're pretty much isolated through a season because you're living on your own. You live in a different country. Maybe you don't speak the language. I didn't speak the language. So but I had a great time doing it. I learned a totally different culture, and it's something I really value. And that was what really kind of put away the player in me. I got to aspire to that, do that. And then came the next chapter, which was coaching. And I've really, really enjoyed coaching, being a positive influence, hopefully, on my student athletes, and helping them achieve their goals. And then it keeps my competitive feel. I'm extremely competitive. So gives me my competitive feel and gets me up in the morning. But also, I think as I did that, that's what I started with, and now it's influencing student athletes and helping them become better people and hopefully better volleyball players too at the same time.
Nice, nice. That's an incredible journey, and there was a lot of the stuff that I wanted to point on or touch on, but as you continue to go, it was a lot more, and kind of forgot what I started off with. But that was cool. I can relate to that, especially with the coaching. I'm not at the level that you are, but I have development teams that we work with from the ages of like 10U all the way through like 14U up into high school, and supporting them with that area of their playing career. And I kind of get what you're saying, just getting that competitive fix, and, wanting to, have a team that goes out and competes with the level of competition that, I may have had when I was playing. And then I even heard you I heard you say in the past interview, now it's not about what you tell them, is how you make them feel. And that's something that I began to grow into as well. As like, it's cool to teach them on the field, and have those wins, and have those people that are going to compete, but it's also good to hear a lot of the good things they're doing off the field and off the court, and the accolades that they're building, whether it's in the classroom or in life or with their family too. So that's very fulfilling as a coach. And that's really, really cool to hear, your side of the story. All right, so a couple questions going into it. So uh, playing like overseas and in Germany, how did that experience shape how you now mentor your athletes and their goals? How does that experience help you with your coaching philosophy or your coaching style, or even, how you coach and mentor other athletes?
Yeah, I think it's really helped me with our guys that want to go play afterwards, or at least pursue it for a little while. Last year, last year wasn't our, we didn't have anyone graduate. 2 years ago, my first year at Stanford, we had nine guys graduate, and I believe five of them went overseas and played. And it was cool to give them a lot of advice on how to do it. When we're talking volleyball, not a lot of people are making a ton of money. You're going over there for the cultural experience. You're going over there to learn something about yourself. And so it was cool to just go because everybody was at different levels and different, different contracts. And it was cool to see the different experiences. We had Nathaniel Gates went to Portugal and had a phenomenal experience. Will Rotman went to Italy, had a really good experience as well. Kevin Lamp went and played in the third division in Italy. Nathan Litsky went to France. And I think that was it. We had four of them go. Hopefully, I'm not missing anybody. Everybody else went to grad school, which is really cool too. So, but yeah, they got a cool cultural experience. And to just see how different parts of the world train and how they, you know, just deal in life. Like the German culture was different than my culture. I was come from a culture of win at all cost, and at times they would go, we're not going to practice today. It's we got to go see our families and things like that. And at that point, I didn't understand it, but I think I've got a little bit better perspective now as we do it. And then also letting them know my perspective of no, we need to practice today. We're not doing very well. We need to start winning more. So I think that has helped me give people insight as they go overseas to and what to look for in contracts, what to help themselves as they do it. And I really like to have guys that aspire to do it, whether they do it or not. Like I'm at Stanford, so there's some people that are going to go into jobs that are really high paying that they're really passionate about. So it's just choosing the path or really hitting the pause button on their great careers and maybe going and playing volleyball and learning a little bit about themselves.
Nice, nice. That's a good feedback. And that's something that I sometimes look back on it because I played collegiately, but I was one of the guys that had to work hard. Like I walked on at a JUCO, adjusted there. From there, had to walk on to a Division 1, worked, adjusted there, and then finally earned a scholarship. And then even um, after or going into my senior year, my last year, like there was a possibility that I could have played, some professional ball, maybe like an indie ball type deal or a free agent type deal, but it was tough just trying to transition to that. Also depending a lot on my parents too. That was another big deciding factor, and they were, the ones pushing me, telling me to go to grad school and kind of hang it up. And sometimes I look back and I wish, I probably would have attempted to play, at an overseas league, or even now that I've understand that there are a lot more leagues than just like indie ball or the minor leagues or whatever. It's a lot of different leagues in different countries that can actually pay you, but then it's also a good experience to go and learn these other cultures. And that's something that I took for granted until I moved out here to California. When I'm around, more cultures, more religions, different viewpoints and things like that. And I felt like it helped me become a more well-rounded person, being able to be around these different cultures and ethnicities and be able to learn from them as well. So I do feel like that's something that I think about. I'm big on God's timing and God, allows for, his plan. But sometimes I do look back and like, man, like I wish I would have, taken at least another couple years just to play internationally to see how that would have changed my life. But no, I definitely, went the way that it was supposed to. So, no, that was cool to hear that story. So kind of a coaching question. I've seen you coached at many different levels, junior college level, women's volleyball with USA, and now at Stanford. So what's been the biggest adjustments moving between these environments?
Ooh,
Mhm.
you know, I think it's just what I mean, you've got to realize what's important, which is coaching, really coaching and recruiting in my spot now. But like I was talking to one of the guys that I had originally coached with, Gus Culver in the high school level. I do kind of miss coaching 3 or 4 practices a day. Like when I first started, I didn't do a lot of paperwork. I didn't do a lot of coaching work or the other part of my job now. I coached a lot of practices. I'd coach 2 or 3 practices a night because I'm coaching club teams and high school teams. And then I really value my time at Orange Coast College, being at the junior college. You mentioned the JUCO. Our baseball team was phenomenal at Orange Coast while I was there. Um, and I really valued that experience. I really got to be at those guys' lives in a pivotal time. And it also helped that we were really darn good while I was there. And we had some really, really good athletes. That level really helped me connect with players and see what they wanted to do and where they wanted to go because we were a stopping point for them. And we knew that. That's what we pitched. That's what we did. We wanted them to either go on to a 4 year, go on to play, go on to do what they wanted to do. And some people that was becoming a doctor. Some people that was going to play at the Division 1 level, and some people was finding an NAIA school, or it was just what do you want and how do you get that from here? And not everybody got that, but that was really valuable. Um, and really the being at the collegiate level, it's a lot more paperwork, compliance work, and things like that. But we do all that just to enjoy our jobs and coach at the end of the day. Hopefully they pay me to do that part, and I'd coach for free. Um, so I don't know if I answered. What was the original question? Give me the original question one more time. What was?
Oh, yeah, just what's been the biggest adjustment just moving between the environments, between like JUCO, USA team, and then collegiate, which I feel like you touched on it. I know a lot of it. You said it's the paperwork part of it
Yeah.
as you continue to move up the scales.
And really working for head coaches and finding out what they need.
Mhm.
And seeing the different coaches that you coach for, why they are the way they are, why their process is, and then making sure that you're supporting them as best you can. Filling in the gaps. Hopefully, they hire me because I do things that they don't do well. That's what every good leader says. But filling in those gaps and then making their lives easy. That's the biggest thing I've learned as an assistant is how do I make my head coach's job easier? And then vice versa. If I've been a head coach, the best assistant coaches always make your life easier. You go, oh man, that guy's got it, or that girl's got it, and that's the best way to do it. And then volleyball is volleyball, whatever level you coach or whoever you coach for, it's pretty similar. And knowing and studying the game is probably one of the most important things you do.
Nice, nice. Thank you for that feedback. And no, I can imagine. As you climb the ladder with the divisions and even, at a school as prestigious as Stanford, I can, imagine the workload may get a little tough and, uh, like you said, the paperwork, compliance, and dealing with, NCAA regulations and stuff. So I can only imagine the workload that you're dealing with and the, I guess the toughness of the I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. I guess executing. I feel like that's the biggest thing with sports is just executing. So I feel like the higher level you go, the more detail you have to, or attention to detail you have to pay, and be able to execute at that level. So no, that was good feedback on that. So getting a little bit into kind of recruiting in the new age style of just college sports in general. So since your playing days at Penn State, recruiting has definitely changed with a lot of NCAA rules. From your perspectives, what qualities do athletes need to showcase to stand out today? Not no just specifically for your program, but any athlete that's looking to play at that next level. Like what qualities should they either showcase or work on building to be able to even think about being considered at the next level?
Yeah, I think the NCAA is changing like crazy right now. It'll change while we talk to each other. And you talked about early on the NIL and all the other pieces now that we're dealing with. Um, and I don't want to say dealing with because I think I'm very new in my career and I want to coach, so I need to figure out how to do it, right? I don't think we can complain about it. I think we got to find solutions in it, and we've got to do it our own way at each university. Um, and I think things have really grown in a positive way since I played. When I played, you couldn't put cream cheese on a bagel because it was an NCAA violation. Now we can feed our athletes, we can give them what they deserve and what they need. And so I think we can support them better. When I was playing, I think we very much tried to treat them like a regular student and then asked them to perform on the weekends. And now I think we can treat them the way we need to in order for them to be high performance athletes. So I think there's been some really good changes with it. And also, as I said, I'm new in my career, so you got to go, okay, I got to figure out how to do this or not. But the best things you can do to stand out at the next level is, um, I mean, really, like you're going to work on your craft, you're going to work on your game, you're going to try and improve yourself. And there's no shortcut to that. I get the question a lot of like, how do I get better quickly? Well, you get better with constant, right? And
Right.
that's really the easy answer as you do it. Commitment to work and commitment to being better. But then like the things that are extra are the communication piece, the professionalism piece, and then being yourself. So everybody's looking for something different in the recruiting process. But I think communication is a big part of it. Communicating with professionalism, but also being yourself, right? Like I try to be very professional as I recruit people, but also I'm myself and I'm not always tied up. I'm not a Stanford grad. So I tell
Exactly.
people that all the time. But uh, so communicating with professionalism and also like you got to think as people are getting recruited, it's also like getting a job or interviewing for jobs. If someone says no to you on the first try, and you don't get after it after that, like you've got to hustle and get through all that stuff. And then the other part is like with communication, if you communicate with me awkwardly through the recruiting process, you're probably going to do that when you get to school, right? And so if I send you a text, you respond via email, or you have like a bunch of questions on that topic, like what's going to happen when I call you on campus and say, "Hey, come by my office. We'll want to watch some video," and then you email me 2 days later, like that's just it's kind of a red flag. So I think communication becomes a big part of it, and then responding to just adversity through it. Your dream school might say no, but are you going to be done there, or are you going to keep getting after it and figure out where your fit is?
Right. That's a good one. Consistency and communication. I feel like that was a big factor for me, even getting recruited. Like I said, I wasn't the highest recruiting player. I wasn't a highly ranked player, but like you said, just consistently working to get better, consistently putting yourself in a position to be seen is one of the biggest thing I even tell with my athletes is, exposure and just that commitment to getting better every day. And I feel like you definitely hit on that and hit on that point very well. So I appreciate that. So a couple more questions. I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate all your
Oh,
insight
keep
and your
going.
feedback. And this is really good. This is really good uh, content. All right. So I guess now with the communication and visibility, I kind of want to touch on like social media a little bit. I feel like that's a big hot word or a big thing now with recruiting and athletes getting recruited. So as social media has become a part of an athlete's brand, when you think back on your own journey versus now, what are some positive and pitfalls that athletes should keep in mind when utilizing social media?
Yeah, social media is a job now. So people are making money on social media. So you got to think of it as how professional can I be with it?
Right.
And so like college coaches check your social media. They're going to check they're going to check a lot of things about you. So it's how you represent yourself. But also the NIL piece of it is huge. Building your brand, and this might be not authentic to everybody, right? Like not everybody wants to be that. And some people might not want to do it, but you've only got probably 4 years in college, maybe 6 years as you're being recruited to capitalize on what you can do NIL wise, because you can always do that on your own no matter how the university views it or anything else. If you're doing that on your own, you can do it. So I think more athletes need to build that brand and see what they can do with it because you only have a few, years to do that, depending on how far you go with your sport. In our sport, it's a little bit smaller, but you're seeing some people after school go, okay, I'm still making money on social media because I've done this. So I think it's become huge with that. Um, and I think the better you can get at it, I'm not good at it. And it really wasn't a thing when I was getting recruited. Like Facebook was the only thing that was out. And so having Instagram now and just TikTok, I don't even have TikTok. That's how old I'm getting. But just what people can make with it and capitalizing on your brand. And if that's who you are, I would suggest doing it. Some people, it's just not who they are, but I think it's a really cool avenue to figure out because it's also going to give you a little bit of business, experience as you get into the business world of like I've advertised myself doing this and that and this because now businesses are doing the same thing. I mean, I know universities are going, how do we push out content through social media because people don't read web pages much anymore. I think my generation is probably the last one that did. So it's how do you get a feel for teams as you're pushing out social media content. So I think it's such a huge part, but also it's touchy because it's like, okay, how professional do I be in it? But I also got to show my own personality.
All right. Yeah, no, that's good insight. And I know with the space being, still fairly new, it's, I know they're trying to regulate it a little bit more, and I've been trying to keep up with a lot of the NCAA changes, rules, and regulations. But it's still, kind of like the Wild Wild West where, everybody is, like you said, kind of doing their own thing. And it's something that, I wish I could have taken advantage of. I graduated college 2018, and I want to say the laws were starting to get passed in 2021. So, I tell all the athletes that, I work with now, like at least learn it, look into it. Like you said, like even the skills that you learn, you can apply them later in life, whether it's business or getting a job or, even supporting another company or supporting a business with their branding, their social media, really learning how to edit the content, post the content, and be professional with it too. And that's one thing that we really try to educate or teach our athletes and players that we work with is, really take time to learn your brand, to build your brand and understand what goes into that. Because it's something that it may take a lot of time and it's very tedious right now, but learning how to do it and learning that skill could be something, very beneficial later on down the line. So no, I agree with you. Like it's still fairly new, and even when I was getting recruited, like we didn't have all of the. It was starting to come on the scene, so I was around when they started doing like Huddle and using like Twitter as a big recruiting platform, but not as big as it is now. And again, like every coach I talk to, every AD I talk to, they talk about just like jobs. They're screening social media, they're screening everything to see, who they're potentially recruiting. They want to see who you are before we communicate with you. So I felt like that's big. All right, so I'll give one more question, and then we'll close it, let you get out of here. And again, we could be vague with this, but what's your message to young players dreaming of competing at the highest level of college or professional, whether it's any sport, football, basketball, baseball, volleyball? Like what is your message to athletes that are out there pursuing their dream?
I think you've got to enjoy what you're doing.
Mm,
If you don't enjoy what you're doing, that's when it becomes a grind. I don't think of my job. I don't think I really grind through things. I really enjoy what I do. I've enjoyed my journey, and if you're not finding joy in that journey, then you might not be doing the right thing. There are tough times in it, right? But you're not going to like. There's got to be joy in your journey because you're always looking to the next thing that'll make you happy, but you got to find joy in what you do. And so I think like in our job, in our professions, it's easy to go, okay, I'll find joy when I win at the end of the year and I want to push for national championships and I want to win conference championships and stuff like that. But really it's the journey that you're on and the moments you have in that journey that are going to be the things that you remember the most. So I think find joy in what you're doing in the journey that you're on right now, and that'll make it easier to get through that time. And don't do it to go, okay, you can dream and aspire, have the aspirations of playing at the highest level, but also go fight and play in your weight class. Don't be that person that goes, I'm only going to play Division I college sports. In our sport, men's volleyball, people will say, I only want to play Division I volleyball. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Division I and Division II compete at the same championship. So you're not going to play in the Division II team that can beat us every year. So I think those are silly things to do. I think your story going to a junior college first and just finding the experience that you want is really, really important. And I think sometimes we get so caught in, what division we're playing in. That doesn't matter. I talked about our guys that went overseas. Not all of them played in the first division, but they all enjoyed their experience and got their experience. Um, and if you do get that chance to play at that high level, enjoy it, take advantage of every minute of it, and do it to the best of your ability. But yeah, I think a commitment to the joy of your process is the best part of it. The moments that you go through are the best part of it. Um, and then hustle your way through it. Like if you want something, get after it. Put that goal up there, but have the daily commitment to doing it. I was watching a little thing on I think it was Nick Saban or Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, I think it was. Urban Meyer said, don't, your daily habits have got to match your goals. And if your goals don't match your daily habits, then get rid of those goals. So I think it's your daily habits that help you get there. Um, so that'd be my advice as you go through it.
Okay. No, that's powerful. That's powerful. Even, I felt that message with just building the brand that I'm working on. It's a startup. It's something that, I literally generated from an idea from a scratch. So just to give a little bit more background about me and the uh, origin behind the company, Mad, after I moved out here. I'm still young, 25. Both of my parents were pretty sick as I was growing up, or I don't say sick, but they battled cancer as I was growing up, and both of them finally, I don't want to say finally, but they ended up losing the battle of the cancer, and both of them passed about 3 weeks apart while I was out here, and I guess that was the initial driving factor to create Mad, because I guess that was the initial emotion that I was feeling and the anger that just took over me. But I decided to use that in a positive direction and create a brand and create a program and a platform to support other kids that, may be going through a tough time in their life and uses sport or athletics as an opportunity to get away from that and, find new love for life or new passions in life and things like that. So it's kind of refreshing to hear that story or to hear that advice to, just continue to keep pushing, continue to keep doing those daily efforts and daily activities to continue to grow and to build to not only, have your eyes focused on what your goal is, but to, be happy in the present. And that's something that me as a baseball player, I had to learn as well. Don't worry about the past. Don't, look too far in the future, but live where you are. Live where your feet are, and that's in the present. So I feel like that was a really good message. So no, that was good. I appreciate you and your time and getting on here, giving your insight and telling your story and answering a few questions. So, no, I really appreciate that. And I do have one more quick question. This is more of like off the record. This is kind of me just getting some feedback from coaches, and it'd really be good to get the feedback from you on something that I don't want to say it's new. I feel like it's probably been done before, but I personally haven't experienced it or been a part of it. But it's something that, again, I'm always thinking of how can I support athletes? How can I provide a resource that I didn't have growing up, whether it's support recruiting, support digitally, support marketing, or just supporting any areas of their playing career. And so one thing I've wanted to support with is exposure showcase for athletes. So right now, my primary sport is baseball. I work with a lot of baseball athletes. But on our platform, we get a lot of athletes that follow us and engage and want us to support with either one, helping them build their online presence, whether it's us, taking over their social media, manage them. So we have a team that pretty much edits and uh, creates content for athletes. So they send us, highlights, training, game film, stats, player bios, whatever it is, and then our team put together like a content calendar for them, and then we make sure the posts are up to date. We reach out to coaches, we reach out to brands, and we really try to bridge that gap. But another thing that I've been interested in doing and hosting is like a virtual exposure showcase. So again, give me a feedback if it sounds crazy to you. Give it to me. I have tough skin. I'm able to take the constructive criticism, but I want to have like a platform to where coaches can get on there virtually. They don't have to travel across country to go and recruit athletes, or, they don't have to spend time at a court or at a field. It could be an hour, 2 hour, pretty much like Zoom call, similar to what we're doing now. And then on the flip side, have anywhere from like 15 to 25 athletes also attend this call. And to really maintain like the NCAA compliance, we really wouldn't have it to where the players and coaches are interacting, but more of like a Shark Tank type pitch to where the athletes get on there and they have a pre-made highlight video that showcases their player portfolio, their academics, any extracurricular activities they do, and maybe a 45-second to a minute highlight reel of them playing. And then you give them maybe like a 3 to 5 minute platform to be able to pitch themselves to the coaches. And then within that event or virtual event or panel, I would like to uh, pre-screen the athletes, but then also get questions from them that they would like to ask the coaches, and then I screen the athlete or screen the questions to make sure that they're all NCAA compliant, and then I ask the coaches the questions that the athletes submitted, and pretty much have a 20, 25 minute, 30 minute coaches panel, and then I could give another 15, 20 minutes of like personal branding, NIL, things that we do with our athletes to support them with getting brand deals or building their social media presence, and just created like again, an exposure showcase that you would see in person, but just make it virtual and make it easier for all parties involved. Coaches, quick, easy, they can see the players, and then we'll also keep um, a platform of all the athletes that attended the virtual showcase. So now we could send that template or a rollout or whatever it is, whatever it looks like, to the coach, so now they can review it at their own time and things like that. So what? Give me some feedback on that. Have you experienced anything like that before? Have you been a part of anything like that, or what are your talk or takes on that?
The I do like recruiting panel question things for clubs all the time. I
Mhm.
shouldn't say all the time. For certain clubs, I'll do it. And I think it's really valuable. It allows, usually it's run by the club director or one of their coaches that has a pretty good understanding of what they can ask us. And I think it's really valuable for the players that go through it. Um, our sport is really small. Like we have, I think, 30 Division I universities. So our recruiting is just a very small world. Uh, Most of the coaches that I talk to, I played for, know very well, and things like that. So like the thought of them coming and pitching themselves is probably not going to happen because you're probably talking to everybody anyway, or the top guys anyway. In a bigger sport, like I think I know, like a women's volleyball sphere, that's probably a different thought.
Okay.
It might just depend sport by sport whether that's really valuable. Like the women's coaches just travel more than me, and that's just as simple as that. I go out to a few tournaments every year. They're all the big tournaments. I see all the college coaches. We go watch all the players. I really like our community. It's really cool to do that. I think the NIL and building the brand space is an awesome idea that I can't even give you advice on because I think all of us are behind on it, if that makes sense. Essentially, we hire someone that's 30 or above to help us with social media. Well, that doesn't help us. My guys know more about social media than I do, you know? So
Um,
like that's the crazy thing about college athletics right now is we don't have
mhm.
anybody to mentor anybody because no one's ever done it.
Um,
We're scared of it a little bit in a
mhm.
way.
It's
So
a
like
big
how do we
world.
get those mentors, but they're all, 20, 25 is the oldest people that have done it. So I think
Mhm.
that's something that you can capitalize on there.
Okay.
Um, and then the kind of the recruiting platforms do help. Um, I think if you can find out, like, let's say the niche is baseball or the niche is other sports where you have a lot of clientels. If you can get a base of all the coaches and go, what do you want to see in videos? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? And help those guys get there. Because ours is super personal. And I think I speak for all men's volleyball coaches when I say that. Like, most of the time a club director is going to call me and go, okay, this is a person that I think would be great for your university. What do you think? So it's very, very personal as we do it. I don't think a lot of the bigger broad sports are like that. And I think that's probably where the niche is.
Okay.
So
That is.
men's volleyball, there's not, I already said that, there's not a lot of money in it. If you're doing it for money, you're probably in the wrong sport,
Mhm.
which is why our community is really cool. So
Mhm.
the
That's
social
good feedback.
though is I think really awesome.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you. That was good. That was good feedback. And again, this is something that I've been like I'm big on in the digital space. I'm big in trying to innovate, resources for athletes to get them the exposure and get them the visibility that, a lot of them, feel like they work hard to get, because that's the biggest thing that I don't want for athletes is for them to put in a lot of work. And I even see it with a lot of the guys that I work with on the player development side individually. Like they work hard, weekly. They, doing everything that they need to. They're doing everything right, but nobody knows it. And it's like the business side of it, like sales. Like you can have the best product, you can have, the best service, but if nobody knows about it, then it's really hard to sell that service or product. And that was something that I, just was ideating or coming up with ideas, spitballing, and I thought that would be a decent way to give more exposure or give a different avenue to exposure. So, now I'm in the I guess the survey part of the service, to just getting the feedback, seeing who it would be beneficial for, if it would be beneficial, or even anything, worth putting time into. But no, I greatly appreciate your feedback, and even you taking the time to sit with me and answer the questions. So that's all I have for you. I don't plan to keep you too much longer. I hope we can, continue to stay in contact. And um, again, I'll let you know our team plans to repurpose this and put it to our pages, and I can let you know. Or even if you would like, I can, send it to you and you can review it and let me know if everything is good to go and post, and we can go from there. But no, again, I appreciate you and appreciate your time, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is me trying to work on my social media part of things and me exposing myself.
Okay.
Guys that I coach understand that I'm an introvert and an extrovert's job, and so I work at it. But I think if I want to coach, like I said, I want to coach in this world. I've got to be on social media. I've got to be able to do it. So I've grabbed at these opportunities, and I really enjoy them. So yeah, I'd love
Okay.
to see the final product. I don't think you'll have to run anything by me. Um,
Okay.
I appreciate it, and I love what you're doing. Like as long as we can help kids and help them achieve their goals and learn good life lessons, that's what we're all about. So
Yes,
uh,
sir. No,
appreciate you.
thank you. Yes, sir. And I'm the same way. I'm pretty introverted, but I'm having to get out of my comfort zone and create more content and get in front of the camera. So no, this is a good experience. And again, as always, I appreciate it and look forward to staying in contact with you.
Absolutely. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Coach.